I'll take it. Thank you. Pays $100 a month.
Hollywood is loud too loud. Scandals, egos, and desperate actors clawing for relevance. But then there's Sam Elliott, the last man standing from an era built on silence, steel, and a code nobody in this town follows anymore. Elliott doesn't talk much, but when he does, people freeze. And when he quietly reveals the 7 actors, he respects the only 7. It feels less like a list and more like a map of hidden truths Hollywood hoped you'd never uncover. These aren't casual favorites. They're the names that shaped him, challenged him, and carved themselves into his career like fingerprints on stone. But the shocking part? The first name on his list isn't who anyone expected. Because behind Sam's silence lies a story of storms, rivalries, and actors whose presence could bend a room without saying a word. Jeff Bridges, the man who made Sam Elliott bend his own rules. Jeff Bridges was never supposed to be the man who caught Sam Elliott off guard, but that's exactly what happened the day they walked onto the set of The Big Lebowski. Sam had spent decades studying men carved from stone: Cooper, Eastwood, Shepard. But Bridges? He floated. He drifted. He glided through scenes like a man who had already solved the puzzle of life and didn't need to prove it. That looseness, that natural ease, nearly disarmed Sam. Bridges didn't push moments. He let them breathe. He didn't try to dominate a frame. He allowed the frame to shape itself around him. Sam later admitted that Bridges was one of the few actors who could change his emotional temperature in real time, make him laugh, tighten his throat, or throw him off balance with a single, unpredictable beat. That kind of freedom terrified most actors. Sam respected it. In a world of performers trying to control everything, Jeff Bridges succeeded by letting go. And that was the first crack in Sam's belief that discipline alone defined greatness. But the next name on Sam's list didn't win him over with ease. It was fire, pure and unfiltered. Katharine Hepburn, the blade in a room full of men. Katharine Hepburn wasn't just a presence, she was an uprising. And Sam Elliott, a man who built his career on the power of restraint, admired her because she mastered a different kind of silence, the dangerous kind. Hepburn didn't bend her voice, posture, or morals for anyone. She carved her own lane long before Hollywood pretended to admire strong women. Sam studied her the way a soldier studies a general, watching how she commanded men twice her size, how she split open a scene with nothing but posture, how she could devastate someone with a single raised eyebrow. In Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Sam wasn't watching a performance. He was watching a woman ready to burn down the world for what she believed in. That kind of unapologetic conviction resonated with Sam because he saw in her something rare. Power without noise. Leadership without ego, strength without theatrics. Katharine Hepburn didn't fight for the spotlight. She was the spotlight. And Sam understood that anyone who could dominate a scene without raising their voice deserved a place on his list. But unlike Hepburn's fire, the next figure entered Sam's life like a storm rolling in slow and heavy. Sam Shepard, the storm who spoke in silences. He was standing beside a weather system. Shepard carried tension in his pauses, heartbreak in his eyes, unspoken history in every breath. He didn't perform pain. He let it seep through him like water through cracked earth. Sam later said, "You don't act next to Shepard. You sit in his weather." That wasn't a compliment. It was a warning. Shepard had the rare ability to communicate tragedy without a single dramatic gesture. He understood the language of broken men, the kind Sam built his whole career trying to honor. Their connection was quiet but immediate, a recognition between two men who understood that true masculinity wasn't loud, aggressive, or polished. It was wounded. It was restrained. It was honest. And Sam knew instantly that Shepard belonged on his list for a reason no one could ever replicate. But while Shepard's power came from silence, the next actor wielded truth like a surgical blade. Robert Duvall, the man who made honesty an art form. Robert Duvall didn't just act, he stripped away everything fake, everything decorative, everything performative, until only truth remained. And Sam Elliott, who built his career on the belief that authenticity is the highest religion an actor can serve, recognized Duvall as a master of that faith. Sam once called Duvall's approach the cleanest acting I've ever seen, and he meant it. Duvall didn't move unless movement mattered. He didn't speak unless the words had weight. In Tender Mercies, there's a single pause, a moment so still, so fragile that Sam has described it as a lesson no acting teacher alive could explain. Duvall understood the spaces between lines better than anyone. He played characters who didn't reveal themselves through speeches, but through the small, microscopic truths hiding inside a sigh or a half-smile. That purity, the absence of ego, is what Sam worships. Duvall didn't care about looking heroic or memorable. He cared about being real. And for Sam Elliott, that made him not just great, but essential. But the next name isn't about purity, it's about transformation, the kind that borders on possession. Daniel Day-Lewis, the possession no one dares interrupt. If most actors disappear into their roles, Daniel Day-Lewis dissolves. For Sam Elliott, who believes in gravity, presence, and the kind of truth that can't be faked, Day-Lewis represents the farthest frontier of the craft. Sam first saw it in My Left Foot, a performance so stripped of vanity that it felt invasive, as if he were watching a man live rather than act. But The Last of the Mohicans changed everything. Sam couldn't understand how a London-born method actor could embody the wild, wood-raised instincts of Hawkeye so completely. It didn't feel like a performance. It felt like history. And then, There Will Be Blood arrived. Day-Lewis moving through the frame like a natural disaster, slow and unstoppable. Sam said it felt like watching a storm you can't outrun. What Elliott admires most is the sacrifice. Day-Lewis doesn't play characters. He abandons himself to them. No ego, no shortcuts, no safety net. In a world addicted to attention, Day-Lewis disappears into silence when the work is done, which is exactly why Sam sees him as sacred. But the next man didn't disappear, he endured, reshaped Hollywood, and outlasted everyone. Clint Eastwood, the last gunslinger still standing. Clint Eastwood didn't reinvent himself every decade like other actors. He didn't chase trends or bend to Hollywood's changing winds. He simply outlasted everyone. And Sam Elliott respects endurance more than almost anything. Sam grew up watching Eastwood stare down entire worlds without blinking. But it wasn't until Pale Rider that he understood Clint's real magic, the ability to make stillness louder than sound. Eastwood didn't dominate scenes through aggression, he dominated them through ownership. When Clint enters a frame, the camera doesn't follow him, it submits to him. Sam respects that because the two men share the same foundation. No noise, no ego, just work. Hollywood loves drama, volume, and reinvention. Eastwood built his legacy on steadiness, discipline, and the cold, hard truth that presence doesn't need to shout. And for Sam Elliott, who lives by an internal compass older than Hollywood itself, Clint Eastwood remains the benchmark of what it means to be a real actor and a real man. But even Eastwood doesn't occupy the top spot. That place belongs to the ghost who shaped Sam Elliott before he ever stepped in front of a camera. Gary Cooper, the quiet ghost who built Sam Elliott. Gary Cooper didn't just appear on Sam Elliott's list, he created it. Long before Sam wore a cowboy hat or carried the weight of Western masculinity on his shoulders, he was a boy sitting in a dark theater watching Cooper redefine what strength truly looked like. Cooper didn't raise his voice, didn't grandstand, didn't try to impress. He simply existed with a gravity that made the world lean toward him. In High Noon, Sam saw a man fighting time, fear, and honor not through speeches but through silence. That performance rewired Sam's understanding of what acting could be. Cooper taught him that a single still moment can carry more power than 100 lines of dialogue. That truth isn't loud. That courage doesn't perform. That real men don't chase applause, they hold steady and let the work speak. Sam Elliott carries Gary Cooper in every frame he's ever been in. The voice, the posture, the restraint, the weight, all of it traces back to that first revelation in a dark theater. When you step back and look at the 7 names Sam Elliott carved into his private list, you begin to understand something about Hollywood that most people never see. This town survives on noise, public feuds, over-polished interviews, and actors who mistake volume for value. But Sam has always lived by a different law, a quieter, older one, and every name on his list reflects a different piece of that law. Gary Cooper taught him the power of stillness, that a man can command an entire film with nothing but presence. Clint Eastwood showed him endurance, reminding him that legends don't reinvent themselves, they outlast the storms. Sam Shepard revealed the weight of silence, the kind that speaks louder than any monologue. Robert Duvall embodied absolute purity, acting stripped of ego, stripped of polish, stripped of anything but truth. Katharine Hepburn brought the fire, proving that strength doesn't need permission. Daniel Day-Lewis showed the terrifying depth of total immersion, the willingness to abandon oneself entirely. And Jeff Bridges, with his effortless rhythm, reminded Sam that sometimes mastery comes not from pushing, but from letting go. Together, these 7 form something bigger than admiration. They form Elliott's Code, a system of values passed down not through speeches or interviews, but through the invisible, unspoken language shared only by people who truly understand the craft. Sam didn't choose these actors because Hollywood told him to. He chose them because each one, in their own way, revealed a truth about the art form he dedicated his life to. And maybe that's why this list feels less like gossip and more like a warning. A warning to Hollywood's new generation. Fame is temporary, noise is cheap, and talent that depends on theatrics will not survive the long road ahead. But presence, real presence, the kind carried by these 7 giants, that never fades. That's the kind of power that lingers long after the cameras stop rolling, long after the studios move on, long after the world forgets the headlines. Sam Elliott built his career on those truths, and now, by understanding the 7 people who shaped him, you finally see the blueprint of the man behind the mustache, the last cowboy of a dying Hollywood, still holding the line while everyone else chases shadows. If you want more hidden Hollywood truths, deeper dives, and stories the studios never wanted told, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell.